It's your friendly math tutor, Miss C here, and today we are writing the equation of an exponential function when given 2 points. One of the ways you could be asked to do this is in a problem like this, which reads, an exponential function passes through 2 points, 3, 5.4, and 9, 3,936.60. Write the equation of this exponential function. There are 3 really important pieces of information. The first 2 are the points that this function actually passes through. Those are really necessary. The third piece that is as important, if not the most important thing, is it tells us that this is an exponential function. If it didn't say that, we couldn't write the equation because you might remember from earlier in Algebra 1 or earlier in your college courses that you can also write an equation through 2 points and it's a line. So we need to know what kind of function we're dealing with. So here's the bottom line. Our basic exponential equation is y equals a times b to the power of x, where a is our starting value and b is the base of our exponential function. I know by looking at these 2 points, right? If I look at my y values, I'm going from 5.4 to almost 4,000 as x gets bigger. I know straight away b is going to be a number greater than 1 because we're dealing with exponential growth. I don't know much about a, right? But what I do know is I have 2 values for x and 2 values for y. So what we're going to do is everywhere we see our x value, we are going to substitute it in for x. And everywhere we see our y value, we are going to substitute it in for y. And because we have 2 variables that we're trying to find, that would be a and b, we need to set up 2 equations. So I'm going to go ahead and start that with our first coordinate point. So y in that case is 5.4. So I'm just doing basic substitution here. Equals, I don't know a and I don't know b, but I do know x, which is to the power of 3. So that's my first equation. So I'm just substituting values in. All right, in my next equation, in for y goes our really big number, 3,936.60 equals a times b, and in for my exponent x is 9. All right, so what you're going to notice is we now have 2 equations. The only variables involved are a and b. So now our task is to manipulate these 2 equations to be able to isolate one of the variables. So I'm going to notice in both of these equations, a is going to be the easiest variable to isolate because it's not raised to a power. So the problem with trying to isolate b is that they both have exponents attached, and that just makes it messier. So we're going to pick one of these equations, and we're going to isolate a. That means get a on its own side. So because I don't like writing a lot, I'm picking the top equation because there's less to write. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it over here just so you can see very clearly what I'm doing. I'm trying to get a by itself. I'll highlight that for us. And to do that, that means I need to move b. So to undo a and b, they're being multiplied. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide all of b to the power of 3 from both sides, because in math, what I do to one side, I do to the other. That tells me that a equals 5.4 divided by b to the third. Okay, so this is our first step. So step 1, our first step in solving. So step 1 was substitution, right? And we created 2 equations. Step 2 was to isolate a in one of the equations. Step 3 now is going to be to substitute a into the other equation. Okay, and then step 4 will be, we'll get there in just a second. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So we are going to take this second equation right here. And everywhere I see a, I am going to be putting in 5.4 divided by b to the power of 3. So I'm rewriting 3,936.60 equals, in for A goes 5.4 divided b to the third times b to the ninth. Okay, you could use parentheses, you can use that little dot, either way. Okay, so we did our substitution, and now we are going to solve for b. So to do that, I know that there is a secret 1 underneath b to the ninth. So I'm just going to rewrite this intermediate step. You don't have to do that, but I just want to be crystal clear with what I'm doing. So in math, when we multiply fractions together, we multiply numerator to numerator and denominator to denominator. So one of the steps that you could take if you're not doing math in your head is to multiply 5.4 by b to the ninth, and you get 5.4 b to the ninth. And you multiply b cubed times 1, and then you end up with b to the power of 3. So now we need to apply our exponent rule. So when we do that, the left side stays the same, and we end up with 5.4 b to the ninth divided by b to the third. Our rule says that we subtract our exponent, so we get b to the power of 6. Okay, we're continuing to solve for b, and we started doing that by simplifying, and now we're actually going to get to moving things across the equal sign. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5.4 because to solve for b, I have to get b on its own side. When I divide by 5.4, I get 729 equals b to the power of 6. Okay, and now to get b to the power of 6, just to become b, I need to raise that 6 to the power of 1/6. And if I do it to one side, I do it to the other. So essentially, I'm doing this. If I were to write this in another way, these two are the same. Okay, when I do that, I find out that b equals 3. Okay, awesome. We now know b. Now we come back up into my equation in which I solved for a, and we're going to substitute b, which is 3 in this case, into our a equation. So that would be this equation. So I'm going to go ahead and put 5.4 divided by b was 3 cubed equals a. So just to be clear, I substituted b right here, the b we just found. All right, so when we do that, I end up with 5.4 divided by 27 equals a. When I pop that into my calculator, I get 1/5. Or you might get, I have my calculator set to a fraction, so you might get 0.2 out of your calculator. They are equivalent. And now our final step, which is step 6, we're going to substitute. I'm going to say sub a and b values into the y equals a times b to the x equation. So our final equation here is y equals 1/5 times 3 to the power of x, or if you want to use a decimal, y equals 0.2 times 3 to the x. Both of these are correct, and you have just found the equation of an exponential function when given 2 points. If you found this video helpful, please like it so it comes up for other people looking for help in the same area. And make sure to subscribe so you never miss a math video. Thanks for watching. Till next time, remember, you've got this.